Hi guys, today is a new episode of the series One Ingredient Dish. In this series I show you how to create a dish with just one ingredient. And today that's the chickpea. We're going to make chickpea tortellinis filled with fermented chickpeas, a foamy chickpea sauce and some crispy chickpeas. So, let's begin. First we're going to soak the chickpeas. For that cover 500 grams of dry chickpeas with cold water. Now let this soak for at least 8 hours or overnight in your fridge. After that, drain the chickpeas and rinse them twice. Now weigh the empty preserving jar. Mine weighs 650 grams. Then fill it just a little bit under the top with 3/4 of the soaked chickpeas and cover it with water. So by coincidence the preserving jar now weighs 1650 grams. On its own it weighed 650 grams, so the total amount in the jar is now 1 kilo. For every kilo you're gonna add 6 grams of salt. Then cover it and turn it a couple of times to dissolve the salt. Now let it ferment at room temperature for 6 to 8 days. You can start tasting it after the 3rd day till you like the flavor. Meanwhile we're going to make the sauce and the crisp. For that transfer 100 grams of the remaining soaked chickpeas in a blender together with 250 grams of water and 3 grams of salt. Blend this till smooth. Then pour it on a sieve that's lined with a kitchen paper. Now let this drain in your fridge and then keep the liquid for later. After that, transfer the pulp in a saucepan and while mixing, bring it to a boil. Then season it with salt and spread it on a silicone mold. After that, bake it at 160 degrees Celsius for around 20 minutes till golden. Now remove them when still hot and then keep them dry and covered for later. Then for the crispy chickpeas. First, season some boiling water with salt and cook the remaining soaked chickpeas for around 20 minutes. Once cooked, drain them and then let them steam dry for around 5 minutes. Then transfer the chickpeas on an oven tray and remove any skins that have come off. Now I add just a drizzle of oil to make them a bit crunchier. You can do it without the oil, but then they're going to be more hard instead of crispy. Toast them at 220 degrees Celsius for around 20 minutes and then shake them halfway. Then let them cool down and keep them dry and covered for later. Now for the chickpea dough. First transfer 250 grams of dried chickpeas in a blender and blend them into a fine powder. Once it's a fine powder, transfer it on a sieve and pass it through to make sure that any membranes are removed. Transfer the sieve powder in a bowl and transfer the unsieved powder in another bowl. Then weigh 180 grams of the fine chickpea powder. Pour it on your worktop and make a well in the middle. Now add 2 grams of salt and 110 grams of water. Now mix it and then knead it into a nice ball of dough. Then cover it with plastic foil and let it rest in your fridge for around 1 hour. Now I fermented my chickpeas for 7 days and I think they're good to go. For that, first drain the liquid and transfer the chickpeas in a blender. Blend it till smooth. Then transfer it onto a frying pan and while stirring, cook the paste for around 5 minutes. Now check for seasoning and when necessary, add some salt. Then transfer it in a bowl, cover it and let it cool down in your fridge. After that, dust your worktop with the unsieved chickpea powder and put your chickpea dough on top. Roll it out with a rolling pin and then with a pasta machine. Now cut the dough with a round cutter and place a teaspoon of the fermented chickpeas on top. Then fold the dough together to close up the filling and then fold the ends around your finger. Do this with all the tortellinis. Once done, bring some water to a boil and season it with salt. Now boil the tortellinis for around 4 minutes till cooked. Then pour the chickpea liquid we saved before in a new saucepan and bring it to a boil. Once boiling, emulsify it with a hand blender. Then place the tortellinis on a plate and drizzle a proper amount of the foamy sauce on top. Also add the crispy chickpeas and the chickpea tuille. Okay guys, that's it for today. I'm super happy with the dish. It looks really cool and the flavor is also really great. I must say, I'm always amazed by what you can make with just one ingredient if you stay creative. So, like I always say, practice makes perfect, and just step out of your comfort zone and you can do some really brilliant stuff. Let's just dig in. The pasta, well, it's a bit less elastic than normal, but that's pretty logical because there's no gluten or anything in the flour. The filling was already really nice, and I think in combination with the little bit of a foamy sauce and the crispy chickpeas, I think it's gonna be great. It's pretty tasty. Yeah, it's really cool. You really need the fermented chickpeas. That's really essential to this dish, because a chickpea is pretty blunt in flavor, but by fermenting it, you give it a lot more depth, and that's really necessary for this dish. So that's it for today guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments on what one ingredient dish you want to see next. Like and share the video, and subscribe if you want to support my channel and see more amazing cooking videos. And as always, bon appetit!